Welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, to a news roundup coming up for you today with a slightly different approach. What we are going to be discussing is the backlash, really, in the Spanish media after Barcelona's match against Slavia Prague and exactly what we can learn from that. And what I mean by that is there was a particular episode in there between Lionel Messi and Ernesto Valverde, which is very, very intriguing. We're going to be looking at that and basically exploring what we can learn from that particular incident. It's all coming up. Let's get right into it. Because let's start first and foremost by looking here at the morning papers in the Spanish media. Now, there's two different sides to this, and both of them are sort of reading from the same hymn sheet. MD are going here with internal debate. That's what occurred, they say, after Barcelona's win just about over Slavia Prague. They say there that despite winning in Prague, there was real tension in the dressing room after what was a bad game for the team in terms of performance. On the cover of Sport there, they basically gone with disappointment in Barcelona. They say the squad was very, very disappointed on the way home. There was a real atmosphere around the team like this isn't good. There was a real feeling there of uncertainty, of unrest, and they are aware so far. Sport go on to say there, the team are aware that these victories cannot cover the fact that Barcelona have been inferior to many of their opposition so far this season, and the kind of luck we've had, they say, it won't go on. And it's quite interesting there that Sport go on to explain exactly what the squad was so disheartened about, what they felt went wrong in that game against Slavia, and they went on there to say that talks had taken place about losing possession in the middle of the field, giving the ball away far too often and in bad areas. They also say there that on the flight home, many of the players there were upset, nobody was talking to each other, and some players there even ignored calls from radio interviews and even their own family and friends, which is interesting. Because what I always find with Barcelona in these kind of situations, what you want to do is gather together, come together as one, as a group, unite yourselves and really find the root of the problem. But what I find to happen, you look at the game against Roma, you look at the game against Liverpool, you look at the aftermath there, and what seems to happen is everybody goes into their shell. Everybody there distances themselves from each other, from the team, and there's almost, of course, there's a sadness, there's a bit of unrest there. The players, no doubt, coming off that field after the game against Slavia, they weren't happy with the performance. But what I don't think about Barcelona right now is there's somebody there, there's a group there that are willing to put this right. They're quite happy to be upset, to be sad, to go into their shell, but nobody is actually out there saying we need to put it right. Nobody's standing up there and saying this is what we have to do to turn things around. Yes, we'll be sad for now, but if we win again in a few days' time, maybe these players will forget this ever happened, and we can't keep forgetting the mistakes. That's the important thing here. It's okay to make them. It's early in the season. There's plenty of time to go, but what you need to do is act now. Act now and do something. And I thought it was quite interesting, actually, to look at the players who actually did come out after the game and speak openly there to the media in the public domain. And it's interesting to see the kind of characters who did come out there, stand tall and say, look, this wasn't good. The very first one, of course, it was Frenkie de Jong. For me, one of the most honest players in the squad and somebody there who demands the very top level. Nothing apart from the best will be good enough for Frenkie de Jong in terms of his own performance and also there in terms of the team. He came out and said, we're happy, of course, to get an away win in the Champions League, but we were lucky today. He said they were good. Of course they were. They were very good today, Slavia Prague, but we were not. Especially not on the ball. It was not our best game. And quite clearly there, Frenkie de Jong openly admitting we were not good. We need to do better. And that's the approach that every single player should have. Marc-Andre ter Stegen, another big character, I feel, in that dressing room. He was one to come out. He said, we've not shown the level of where we want to be this season. We need to talk about some things. We've got to talk to each other, but we don't have to do it in public. There are certain things about this team right now that need to improve. So ter Stegen there, like I was saying, openly admitting, we need to talk. We need to discuss what is going on right now and what is going wrong. We need to discuss that to get to the bottom of it. But is that happening? That's the big question. Is that kind of discussion, is that breakdown going on in that dressing room? And of course, the man who should be leading that discussion is none other than supposed to be our leader, Ernesto Valverde. He came out after the game, just get this, Valverde's quotes after games like this, honestly, it's staggering. The things that come out of his mouth, you can't believe he's actually saying them, but he does. He came out after the game and said this, I expected a game like this. I expected this. They showed danger when we lost the ball. We always want to rule the game. We always want to control from the first minute to the last minute. That's the ideal, but sometimes you've got to do different things. It's your turn to do that. We suffered today. Basically saying there, number one, I knew what Slavia were going to do. This is basically how I saw the game going. Well, if that's the way you saw it going, that's a disaster. If what we saw right there is plan A, we are in real trouble. And then the second thing, basically saying, yeah, we want to control games, but sometimes you've got to be different. We are not controlling games often enough. If this one game was an exception, if this one match here was something that we don't often see, we'd all brush it under the carpet. We'd all say, you know what, it's one away game, it doesn't matter. But the problem is, this is what we usually see. This is the norm for Barcelona, and that's why, for me, there's so many issues, starting, no doubt about it, with that man Valverde. And that brings me on to this Messi Valverde situation, because of course, in the aftermath of that game against Slavia, a lot of things came out in the media. One of the things that came out was a very intriguing video of basically the moment where Slavia scored their equalising goal. And after they put the ball in the net there, the camera panned on Lionel Messi. Messi there with his back to the camera, but he was clearly looking and focusing on Ernesto Valverde. He was staring squarely in the face of Valverde on the touchline, and he did that consistently there for about a minute. He stood there, he watched him, he glared at him, he didn't move his head, he was just looking in Valverde's direction. And you know the thing about it, the thing that sums up Valverde for me, did he turn around? Did he even meet the eye of Lionel Messi? No, he didn't. He couldn't even meet the gaze of Messi. He couldn't even lock eyes with him. He just stared on ahead, ignoring there the glances of Messi. And that just tells you all about Valverde. He is not enough of a leader. He doesn't get this group going. He doesn't motivate this group. He doesn't lead this team. And Messi there, after the game now, few people are criticising Messi. They're saying Messi is the captain. Messi could come out and speak openly about Valverde if he doesn't like playing under, if he doesn't like the way that Barcelona are going right now. Messi, we know the power he has. He could get Valverde out. And whilst that's true, it is true that if Messi spoke out about Valverde, if Messi dropped a few hints that maybe he'd leave Barcelona if Valverde remained, of course, Valverde would be on his way. But at the same time, I don't think it's right at all to blame Lionel Messi. You can't blame Messi in this kind of situation. And I'll tell you the reason why. It shouldn't take Messi to speak out about Valverde for the board of directors at Barcelona to actually think things aren't right. You shouldn't have to have Messi there saying, you know what, we're not playing well. They can see, surely they can see we're not playing well, and we haven't been now for quite some time. So what I'm saying is, yes, Messi probably could do a bit more, but that's not quite in his mantra. That's not quite the way that he goes about things, and I can respect that. And at the same time, you've got to do more. If you're Bartomeu, you've got to see what's happening. You've got to sense the danger, much like the Barcelona defence. He doesn't do that either. And I just think now it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what happens now with this Barcelona team, because of course this weekend, no game at all. Nothing at all now. We've got a complete rest, a complete break. Our next game now is on Tuesday at home against Valladolid, which should be there a comfortable game. But of course, we thought Slavia was going to be comfortable. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, what kind of performance we come in and see, and also who's going to be playing in that game. Is Valverde going to reshuffle the pack? Is he going to make some changes? Is he going to ruffle the feathers of some of these players in the Barcelona team? Or are we going to see some sort of different approach? And that's the thing. We're not really optimistic, are we? We're not really expecting to see a drastic change in the way that Barcelona go about things, and that's the problem right now. If it was me, if I was Valverde right now, over the weekend, you'd have to be on the training ground. You'd have to be there trying something different, going through a few different ideas, basically there, making it crystal clear what you expect from this group of players. But is he doing that? That's the big question for me. There's so many things that you can say, there's so many ideas, so many questions that you could have of Ernesto Valverde and this Barcelona team, but at the same time, you're just wondering, what do they do? What do they do in those training sessions? What do they do in the meetings they have with this team? What sort of things do they run through? Because quite clearly now, Valverde has been at this club for some time, and he hasn't got that message across, and that's the problem for me. He may be a decent guy, he may be a decent coach. At a team like Athletic Club, he might be very well suited, but a club like Barcelona, you've got to be crystal clear in your ideas. You've got to be perfect in the way you go about your man management, and I'm just not sure, and I haven't been sure now for quite some time, that he's the man to do that. He's not the coach for Barca. He is going to remain in charge. We are going to keep him for at least this season, I believe. But what sort of Barcelona team are we going to see next week, Is it going to be anything different? And if it was, what would you guys change? What are your thoughts, guys, on this entire situation, on the Messi Valverde stare? What did you make of that? What do you believe that Messi's feelings are? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, very, very keen indeed to hear your thoughts. And thank you guys for all of your excellent comments in my video yesterday when we looked at Barcelona's big defensive problems. I appreciate the feedback and I really do appreciate the kind words. I will see you soon with more videos. Enjoy your weekend without any Barcelona performance to ruin it. I'll see you soon. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.